There are wounds that bleed, and then there are wounds no one sees. You smile, you laugh, you go on with life, but deep inside something feels heavy, distant, numb. The most dangerous damage to the heart doesn't happen overnight. It happens quietly, slowly, silently. Today, let us reflect on 4 habits, not dramatic, not shocking, but habits that quietly destroy your heart if left unchecked. Listen carefully, because awareness is the first step toward healing. The danger of sins we normalize is not that they shock us, but that they slowly stop shocking us at all. The first time the heart slips, it feels heavy. There is discomfort, guilt, a quiet voice inside that says, "This is not right." That discomfort is a mercy. It is the heart still alive, still aware. But when the same action is repeated and repeated again, something changes. The heart begins to adapt. What once felt heavy now feels familiar. What once disturbed the soul now barely causes a pause. This is how normalization begins, not with loud rebellion but with quiet repetition and self-justification. We tell ourselves stories to make peace with what we know is wrong. We say it is a small sin. We say others are doing worse. We say our intention is good. We say we will stop later. These excuses act like layers over the heart, slowly dulling its sensitivity. Over time, the heart stops resisting, and when resistance disappears, danger has already arrived. A sin that is no longer recognized as a sin becomes a habit, and a habit becomes part of identity. At that point, the heart is no longer fighting, it is surrendering. What makes normalized sins especially dangerous is that they do not feel like a fall. Life continues, the smile remains, the routine is intact. Yet inside, the heart is losing its light. The ability to feel remorse weakens, and when remorse weakens, returning becomes harder. The conscience no longer interrupts, the warning signs are ignored. The heart does not die suddenly, it hardens gradually. And a hardened heart does not cry, does not tremble, does not feel the urgency to change, even when the door to return is wide open. Neglecting remembrance and gratitude slowly drains the heart of its sense of peace, even when life appears comfortable on the surface. The heart was not created to survive on distractions alone. It was created to remember, to reflect, to stay connected to its source. When remembrance is pushed aside, the heart begins to wander. It searches for satisfaction in noise, possessions, achievements, and people, yet it never truly settles. The tongue may stay busy, the mind may stay occupied, but the heart feels strangely empty, unsettled, and heavy without understanding why. When gratitude fades, dissatisfaction quietly takes its place. The eyes begin to focus on what is missing rather than what is present. Blessings that were once noticed become background noise. Health is ignored until it weakens. Peace is overlooked until it disappears. Comparison enters the heart, and with it comes jealousy, frustration, and constant complaint. A heart that forgets to be grateful becomes restless because it is always chasing the next thing, believing happiness lies just one step ahead, never realizing how much it has already been given. The absence of remembrance also weakens resilience. When challenges arrive, the heart feels alone, unsupported, and overwhelmed. Without remembrance, worries grow louder and fears feel heavier. Without gratitude, trials feel unfair rather than meaningful. The heart begins to question, to complain, to lose patience. Slowly, trust is replaced with anxiety, and hope is replaced with exhaustion. The heart becomes spiritually malnourished, running on empty, reacting to life instead of understanding it, forgetting that even in difficulty there are gifts, lessons, and unseen protection woven into every moment. Holding on to resentment and anger quietly reshapes the heart in ways that are rarely noticed at first. What begins as a reaction to pain slowly turns into a permanent weight carried within. The memory of the hurt is replayed again and again, not to seek healing, but to keep the wound open. Each recollection deepens the emotion until anger becomes familiar and resentment feels justified. The heart convinces itself that holding on is a form of strength, when in reality it is a form of captivity. Resentment does not stay contained within one memory or one person. It spreads. It affects how the heart interprets words, how it reads intentions, how it trusts others. Innocent actions are viewed with suspicion. Small mistakes feel like confirmations of old wounds. The heart becomes guarded, tense, and constantly alert, as though preparing for another blow that may never come. Peace becomes difficult to access because anger demands attention and resentment insists on being heard. What makes holding on to anger especially damaging is that it often feels justified. The pain was real, the words were hurtful, the injustice was clear. Yet while the heart holds tightly to what happened, time moves forward without it. The one who caused the pain may move on, unaware, unchanged, while the wounded heart remains stuck in the moment of hurt. Energy is spent reliving the past instead of living the present. Joy feels distant, softness feels unsafe. The heart slowly hardens, not because it was evil, but because it was never allowed to heal. Living without purpose or accountability causes the heart to drift, even when life appears full and active. Days pass, routines repeat, and responsibilities are met, yet something deeper feels missing. When the heart is not anchored to a clear sense of purpose, actions lose meaning. Effort becomes exhausting, not because it is heavy, but because it feels directionless. The heart begins to move through life on autopilot, chasing comfort, approval, or distraction, while quietly wondering why satisfaction never lasts. Without accountability, the heart slowly lowers its standards. Decisions are made based on ease rather than value. Right and wrong become flexible, shaped by mood and convenience. When no one is held answerable, the heart learns to avoid self-reflection. Mistakes are excused instead of examined. Growth is delayed, not because the heart is incapable, but because it is unchallenged. Over time, this lack of accountability creates a false sense of freedom that actually weakens discipline and self-respect. A heart without purpose is easily overwhelmed by trials and easily distracted by success. Hardship feels unbearable because there is no larger meaning to place it in. Ease feels empty because it is not connected to anything lasting. The heart begins to measure life only by immediate results, leading to frustration, impatience, and constant comparison. Without a sense of accountability, there is little urgency to improve, to correct, or to return. The heart becomes spiritually idle, busy with activity yet empty of direction, slowly losing its awareness of consequences and its longing for something greater. How small habits slowly harden, the heart is often overlooked because the changes are subtle and gradual. Rarely does the heart harden through one major decision or a single dramatic fall. Instead, it happens through repeated choices that seem insignificant in the moment. A missed moment of reflection, a delayed act of repentance, a careless word spoken without concern. Each habit appears harmless on its own, but together they shape the heart's condition. What is repeated becomes familiar, and what becomes familiar stops being questioned. Small habits teach the heart what to tolerate. When distractions are constantly chosen over reflection, silence begins to feel uncomfortable. When excuses are repeatedly used, accountability feels unnecessary. When kindness is delayed, harshness becomes easier. The heart adapts to what it is fed. Over time, sensitivity weakens. The heart no longer reacts the way it once did. Moments that should cause pause or regret pass by unnoticed. This is not because the heart is evil, but because it has been trained to ignore its own signals. The most dangerous part of this slow hardening is that it feels normal. Life continues smoothly. There is no alarm, no obvious loss, no visible collapse. Yet the heart becomes less responsive, less moved, less aware. Tears dry up. Reflection shortens. The desire to change weakens. The heart becomes efficient at justifying itself and avoiding discomfort. Small habits, repeated daily, quietly shape a heart that once felt deeply into one that resists feeling at all. The hope of healing before it's too late lies in the mercy found within awareness itself. The moment the heart recognizes its distance, its numbness, or its heaviness, healing has already begun. A heart that feels concern is not a dead heart. Even regret is a sign of life, a signal that softness still exists beneath the layers that have formed over time. No matter how long the neglect has lasted or how far the heart feels, the door to return is not sealed by delay or mistakes. Healing does not always arrive as an instant transformation. Often it begins quietly, with a pause, a reflection, a sincere intention to change direction. The heart does not need perfection to be healed, it needs honesty. When excuses are dropped and the heart admits its weakness, something shifts. The weight begins to lift, not because everything is fixed, but because the heart is no longer pretending. Small steps become powerful when taken with sincerity, and even slow movement carries the heart away from hardness. What gives the greatest hope is that the heart is never asked to heal itself alone. Support is woven into the process through guidance, remembrance, and returning again and again, even after slipping. Each return softens what has hardened. Each moment of humility restores what pride eroded. Time does not run out on the heart simply because it has been neglected. As long as the heart turns, seeks, and hopes, healing remains possible, even when the damage feels deep and the journey feels long. Here is a reflective, emotionally grounding conclusion that ties the entire speech together and leaves the audience inward looking and hopeful. When we reflect on these habits, we begin to realize that the heart is not destroyed by sudden storms, but by quiet neglect. It is shaped every day by what we allow, what we ignore, and what we repeat. Normalized sins, forgotten remembrance, unresolved anger, a life without purpose, and small unchecked habits all work silently, patiently, reshaping the heart while we remain busy with life. The danger is not that these habits exist, but that they feel ordinary, harmless, and easy to postpone. Yet within this realization lies mercy. Awareness itself is a gift. The heart that listens, reflects, and feels concern is still alive. Change does not require perfection, nor does healing demand a dramatic moment. It begins with honesty, humility, and a willingness to return again and again. A softened heart is not one that never falls, but one that refuses to stay distant. When we protect the heart, nurture it, and hold it accountable, it regains its light, its sensitivity, and its peace, reminding us that no matter how quiet the damage has been, the path to renewal has always been open.